Welcome to Albuquerque UFO UAP Explorations. My name is Birdie, and today we are thrilled to welcome the extraordinary June Edward, a renowned psychic medium and acclaimed author whose life and work have captivated audiences around the world. June's journey into the spiritual realm began in her childhood, marked by an innate psychic sensitivity that she fully embraced after a transformative near-death experience at the age of 27. This profound encounter not only confirmed the existence of an afterlife, but also deepened her connections with the spiritual world, shaping her destiny as a guide and healer. Over the years, June has become a pivotal figure in the field of psychic mediumship, known for her compassionate approach and the unique ability to bridge the physical and spiritual worlds. Her insights have brought comfort and guidance to many, helping them navigate the complexities of relationships and personal growth through her deep spiritual understanding. June's dedication to her craft is also reflected in her written work, including her book, All's Fair in Love and Karma, which is a heartfelt tribute to the spiritual guides and loved ones who have influenced her journey. This book acts like a roadmap for your soul. In her writings and teachings, she emphasizes that love is the strongest force and the highest vibration of energy all of humanity can experience. Please welcome June Edward. Hi, June. Thanks for talking with us today.
Well, thank you for having me. What a wonderful introduction. Thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. You're a wonderful person.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love your book, and I want to recommend it to every single person watching or listening to this. All's Fair in Love and Karma. It truly is a roadmap for your soul. It explains how all of your existence from before this incarnation and in this incarnation has had an influence on your behaviors and your thoughts and how you perceive reality. It's just beautiful.
Thank you.
So, June, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? You had a near-death experience. You discovered that you had innate psychic abilities. How did all this come to be?
So it's really been a ride. No one ever expects to be doing what they're doing, I think, in life. Most people change their careers at least 3 times, I believe. Some more than that, some a little less. But I grew up in a very dysfunctional family. My father was in business his whole life. My earliest remembrance of being psychic was around the age of 3. I heard someone calling my name, got out of bed, thought it was my parents, and they were asleep. I went back to my bed and started noticing all the faces around my room. And it was very frightening as a child. And I would see things a lot of the time and try to ignore it or think other people saw it. And by the time I got to be school age, I knew things that were going to happen, and I would tell the other kids in school and quickly got labeled the freak. So, I was a really nervous kid. I, had tics and stuttered and all kinds of stuff because I was just a wreck. And I blocked my ability for most of my life, which most people do because everyone has psychic and mediumship ability, but most of us block it out of fear. And I did the same thing. My parents split when I was 10. My dad actually kidnapped the youngest 5 of us.
Oh my gosh.
And my job at night was to do the dishes after dinner. And there was a woman that used to stand there and talk to me and keep me company, mid-40s. And I was very appreciative because I didn't know anybody. So one day I asked my older brother who she was. I just assumed everybody saw her. Whether he did or he didn't, I don't know. But he started laughing at me and told me that she was the woman that used to live in the house. Her husband killed her and threw her down the basement stairs, which was true. And it scared me so much, she never came back. And from then on, it was like I really tried to block it. And the only time they would really come to me is if someone died. If they died, I couldn't stop that. They were coming to me and I would tell my family, so-and-so died last night. And they'd be like, oh, no way. I just talked to him. Sure enough, they'd find out that he had passed away. So when I died at 27, you would think that would have been the time, but it really wasn't. It took me a long time to process. Your belief system is based on what you've learned or what you've experienced.
Yes.
And, your brain has what's called cognitive dissonance. And that is that, you've learned this certain set of things, and anything outside that box is really hard to comprehend. And it really took me a long time to process it. And it took me a long time to be able to talk about it because it was just so overwhelming emotionally, to be honest. And then about 10 years ago, I was having a lot of difficulty in life again, going through a second divorce. My mom was dying, my businesses were failing, and I went to have some Reiki done, and she recommended that I meditate. And of course, like everyone says, I can't shut my brain off enough to meditate. And as soon as I tried, it was like they kicked the door into the other side. They're like, she's ready. And I could not shut it off. It was 1,000 times stronger than when I was a child. It was incredible. Yeah.
Wow, that's just amazing. And so how did you develop your abilities? I mean, you had these innate abilities coming through. What did you do to develop them?
So everyone has some abilities. It's kind of like playing a piano. Some people sit down and all they do is play chopsticks. Other people want to learn a little bit more and they'll teach themselves some songs. Other people want to do it for a living and they'll become concert pianists. And I was like the 6-year-old prodigy that sit down and plays Mozart. So I had a lot of ability to begin with. And when my abilities opened up, I had to find somebody to help me. It was that simple because I would have gone crazy. And it's the old adage that when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. And I found 2 great mediums to teach me and take me to a point. And they both admitted they couldn't take me any farther because my abilities were beyond theirs. So the rest of my education has come from the other side.
Wow. So how did your first teachers help you develop I hate to use the word powers because it's something that is just innate in all of us. And then how did your teachers on the other side, what did they do to help you explore this?
So they taught me how to protect myself, who I was talking to on the other side for the most part, how to turn it on, how to turn it off, how not to be afraid, and how to really get in touch with my soul. And I did teach mediumship and psychic development for quite a few years. But, when you think of quantum physics and the speed of light, it's almost 300 million miles a second. So when I died and my soul, which is pure energy, went into the light, I went to heaven, I was at 300 million miles a second. And energy, vibration, frequency, they were all different names for the same thing. But that's how high my vibration was. And it went into my body at that energetic level. So I attribute that to the reason that I'm able to connect so quickly, and I have the ability to go back and forth to the lowest level of heaven, which is the 5th dimension, at will. They've told me what the rest of it's like. They've explained it to me. They've allowed me to observe some of the other levels when my mom died, but I have not been able to physically have my soul go past the 5th dimension while I'm anchored here in this body.
So what does the 5th dimension feel like? I know that a lot of people in my group, that they're using their consciousness, raising their awareness in order to have contact with our cosmic brothers and sisters. And that's one of the things that they talk about, raising their awareness to the 5th dimension.
So we live in 3D here. This is 3D world. We're here. Our energetic souls are inside this body to have an experience and to learn our lessons, pay our karmic debts, collect our karmic debts, have a little mini vacation, all of the above. 4D is your dream state. When you go to sleep at night, your energetic vibration actually rises and you go into that 4D space. More of your soul leaves your body at night. So if they're trying to contact you from the other side, if you've got a relative or even someone that's living, maybe you've got a relative that lives, in another country and something's going on, their soul can contact your soul in that dream space. And it's a visit and not a dream because it feels real. You wake up right away and you remember everything. And then the next level up is that lowest level of heaven, which is 5D. And your soul is really way too big for this body. Some of it's in your body, some of it's over your body that some people can see, and they call it an aura. And the majority of your soul is actually in the fifth dimension, the lowest level of heaven. It orchestrates the timing of all the events that happen in your life, and it also holds all the knowledge of all your lifetimes. So when you're meditating to get in touch with your soul, you're not just getting in touch with the part that's inside of you. You're getting in touch with the majority of it that's in the fifth dimension that has that knowledge. That's why a lot of people, after they're done meditating, their ears will start to ring, because your brain is nothing more than a computer, and you're literally getting a download to your computer brain.
Wow, that's amazing. I've had experiences, especially after my mom died. She had brain cancer, and I took care of her for months, 24/7 as she was dying in hospice care. And immediately after she passed, I saw all these lights in the room. And for weeks after, I would have these vivid dreams where she would be speaking to me. And I knew that it was real, that I was actually connecting with her. So I can completely relate to that.
So the lights that you were seeing were probably souls coming to take her. If it was an angel, it probably would have been much more visible to you, as far as the entire room would have really filled with light when there's an angel. But when my mom was passing, I actually saw her soul leave her body.
Oh, wow.
And I saw her real mother, her adopted mother, her real father, her real mother, all came with Archangel Michael to bring her to the higher realms. And she immediately went to my father and my two sisters that were there as well.
Wow, that's incredible. So how can we use these connections that we naturally have to our own benefit in our relationships and in our work? What can we do as like a regular person?
So as a regular person, we are all, again, we're not the suit that sits here. We're the energetic, the soul that's inside. However, while you're here in this suit, we all have a brain. Our brain has a very specific job. Our brain's job is to protect you. How does it do that? It does it by creating the fear. So most people are making their decisions based on fear. And when you do that, it's literally a crapshoot. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but you're always questioning your decision. Now, thoughts are things. So where your thoughts go, your energy flows. Okay. And everyone's had something happen in their life that they've just had that knowing, that gut feeling that they were supposed to do something. And they did it without really thinking it through, and it worked out fine. That is your soul. So what I do is I teach people how to get in touch with their soul. So every time you make any decision, you're not sitting here making your pros and con list. You're not sitting here going through your brain trying to think about should I, shouldn't I, what should I do, blah, blah, blah. You immediately know what you should do because you're in touch with your soul, and it will always give you the correct information and keep you on the path you're supposed to be on, and it will work out amazing.
Yeah, you know what? Every time I don't follow my gut, I absolutely 1,000,000,000% regret it. And I think everybody on the planet knows what that feels like when you just know you should do something. And we've all had those experiences, And so how can we recognize those urges and that gut feeling?
I recommend that everyone learn how to meditate, because that is the fastest way to raise your vibration, because you're getting in touch with that portion of your soul that's going at 300 million miles a second, that high vibration. And I feel that it's so important that I put the directions to meditate properly in all of my books, because most people do not meditate properly, and most people don't teach it properly either. And when you open yourself up to the universe, you're opening yourself up to good and evil. And I've even had two students that were full-blown possessed because they did not protect themselves prior to meditation. It is not a joke. Everything that's happening in this world right now, although it plays out in politics, it's all about good and evil. And what's the prize? The same prize has always been there. Your soul. God wants your soul. The devil wants your soul. And if you have a good heart, then you're a target. It's that simple. And People can't see what I see, but if you could, it would be like an episode of The Walking Dead, because they're everywhere. If you know the ones that die, the souls that are stuck here because they did not go into the light, they're walking around at the same vibration as a human being. They can't move any faster than you or I. And they want to enjoy the things that they did when they were alive. They want your body, bottom line, because they don't have one.
So that's just, that whole struggle, we all feel that struggle too, the good versus evil, the angel on one shoulder, the devil on the other shoulder. I know I've had a hard time making decisions sometimes when one whisper is a little louder than the other, and maybe not the good whisper. But so how would you ask other people to find out what's good in their life, and to focus on more positive things? Do you think that having a positive attitude is a part of this whole process?
Well, the reality of it is everything's vibration. Everyone's walked into a funeral and felt that low vibration. Everyone's walked into a birthday party and felt that high vibration. And you have a choice. You can choose to live in the low vibration, or you can choose to live in the high vibration. So everyone's heard of the law of attraction. That's certainly not sitting in a low vibration. Law of attraction's in a high vibration, but because everything in the universe has to stay in balance, you have to learn how to balance your energy if you want to maintain it. Otherwise, you're going to crash. Everything has to stay in balance. So if you get that high and you don't balance it, you're going to crash and be low. But everything in the world, everything in the universe, it's all about perspective. The glass isn't half full or half empty. The glass is refillable, for crying out loud. Enjoy it. Refill it again.
So, in your book, one of the ways that you apply all these things that you've learned is in talking about relationships, and how to deepen and strengthen our relationships with each other, love relationships, friendships. So, give us some advice, June.
So everything is a relationship, and we learn our lessons faster here than we do on the other side, and faster within a relationship. Business is a relationship. You're in a relationship with your clients, with your employees, with your coworkers. You're in a relationship with your family, your friends, the guy that changes your tire and changes your oil. You're in a relationship with everyone, and every relationship is there for a reason and a purpose. And nothing is random. Everything that happens is really happening for a reason. And it's really about your perspective. So you can choose to look at anything in life from a negative perspective, and you're going to have the most miserable existence there ever was. I guarantee it. Or you can choose to raise your vibration and look at things from a higher perspective and understand why things are happening, and get out of the drama, get out of the minutia. And really, the universe starts bringing you abundance like crazy. It's like Christmas every day. It truly is.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you've used this ability to do all kinds of interesting things in, the mediumship. You're talking to people on the other side. What kinds of ways have you used this?
Well, I use it in my daily life, because I understand how the more the universe will do for you. It's employer brought you something else to do, you pissed and moaned and complained, and you didn't want to do it, he's not going to bring you anything else. If every time he brought you something you were happy, oh my God, this is great, I'm going to get a bonus, blah, 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 he's going to just keep piling it on you. And the universe works the same way. So we're meant to live a life of abundance. And the more grateful you are, the more they bring you. I work directly with angels. Angels are a completely separate race. They were never human. Their entire existence is to help you. But if you don't ask, they can't help you, because there's rules on the other side, the same as there are here. So I'm always asking and setting my intentions, and they're always bringing me everything that I ask for. It's just amazing. Like I said, it's like Christmas every day.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So can we, I mean, I guess we can, right? We're regular people, but we're not regular people. We're souls too. How do we establish a relationship with angels?
So my first book, A Night on the Other Side, I put everything in that book. I was actually writing my autobiography at the time, and I taking care of my mom, and I kept hearing, you have to write the book. You have to write the book. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm writing the book. They're like, no, you need to write another book. I'm like, what other book? I was teaching psychic development and mediumship development at the time. And they're like, you need to write a book so your students have a handbook to go back on. And I'm like, I have no time for this. If you want me to do this, then you're going to have to help me. And I called on the highest guide from the other side to help me write the book. And I literally channeled it through, wrote it and published it in 6 weeks, and then went back to writing my other book. So they're here to help. You just have to ask.
So have you ever had any encounters with non-human intelligence outside of the angelic realm, things that we would call aliens or ETs?
So there's plenty around, as much as people want you to think there are. There aren't. There are. I read Akashic records, and I got into the Akashic record room accidentally the first time, and it's where everyone's book of life is kept. So if you're having issues in this lifetime, I can go back into your book of life and find where the connection is and why you're having a problem in this lifetime, because we bring some things through from lifetime to lifetime. And the first time I got there, there was this, I had no idea. I was in a deep meditation. It was, when I first started doing this and I was in training, and you come out of the meditation, they're like, whoa, what happened to you? And I'm like, well, I ended up in this big white. I didn't even realize I was back in the 5th dimension, because everything was just beautiful and white. And there was this tall figure standing there. And I have never looked up to see his face at this point. He's very tall. He had purple robes on. He keeps his hands underneath, like he has like an oval robe that goes over, but he's kind of cylindric shaped. And he is the person that helps me get the Akashic records out to read them. What I learned later is that he's a Palladian. And I did do a reading for a woman once who had been abducted several times. And she wanted to know why she keeps getting abducted. And she has the knowledge of a new energetic healing modality, very different from Reiki, very different. And I didn't know any other aliens to ask, so I asked him. And he explained to me that, there were quite a few, I forget how many he told me at the time, humans that had volunteered prior to coming back here and reincarnate, that were going to help save the planet. And they were downloaded with information in order to do that. And they didn't understand that human brains don't always hold all the information.
Uh-oh, June, looks like we lost you. You're frozen there. Let's give you a second, see if you come back up.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Well, there you are.
I don't know either. Okay. So, but she needed to disseminate the information, and she wasn't doing that. I told her she needs to really write it down and get it into a book so the masses can learn this modality, because it's supposed to be saving the planet, saving the humanity. And she was doing little classes with 5 and 6 people. I'm like, that's not going to cut it. And they're going to keep abducting you until you get it, that you have to get this out to the masses. And that's why they kept abducting her, downloading her with the information each time so that she had it all.
Wow, that's incredible. And I just have to go back to where you said you kind of accidentally fell into the Akashic Records room. And I'm just cracking up at that, just imagining just opening a closet door and whoa, Akashic Records here. But man, I would love to learn that Pleiadian modality. I know people that have spoken with the Pleiadians and others that have spoken with other alien types of beings. And many of them have that same sense of urgency when they receive a message. It is a sense of urgency. You have to do it now. This is important for humanity. And I feel that we're kind of our humanity in general, all of us, our consciousness is increasing, our awareness is increasing, and we're helping each other raise up our awareness. Do you think that's happening?
Absolutely. There's a mass awakening happening. I'm thrilled that it's happening. People really need to get in touch with their soul, so they understand why they're here. It's been generational that we've been pushed down and kept down and programmed between, the news and the televisions and all this stuff. And we're not living the existence that we're supposed to be having here. This is supposed to be a joyful existence, to teach you your lessons, to learn, to help teach other people their lessons, to help each other. When we're here for a blink of an eye in the actual existence of things. And it's supposed to be a wonderful, joyful experience for everyone, not the other way around that's been happening.
So we have a question here from Liv. Is it possible those who are here to help save the planet be totally unaware of their role?
I don't believe so. I was unaware of my role until 10 years ago. So there's 3 types of relationships: karmic, soulmate, and twin flame. Twin flames are extremely, extremely rare. There's so much misinformation around the internet about them. It's incredible. And what I learned, because I am a twin flame, is that they are here to help save humanity as well. They have to learn the 5 lessons, and then they have to get on their path of helping humanity before they can reunite in this realm.
Okay, so I've heard about twin flames, but I'm not exactly sure what they are. And I bet other people watching this may not have an idea either. So tell us what a twin flame is.
So a twin flame is literally one soul that splits into 2 before it reincarnates and comes back in 2 separate bodies. And forever after, it will come back in 2 separate bodies. And at some predetermined time in your life, because you planned this life, you will meet. And when that happens, it's a disaster. It destroys your life. Everything you know is thrown out the window. They're always extremely passionate, extremely sexual, extremely psychic, and extremely short, from literally a few days to a few months. That's it. And then it's like you're ghosted. There's no communication for the most part after. And if you're both able to learn those lessons and get on your path, you'll have an opportunity to reunite. But that doesn't usually happen. So most twin flames do not get back together in this lifetime. Usually only one person recognizes the connection right away. And that person will have a very difficult time having any other relationships after that, because nothing will ever compare.
That's so interesting to me. I haven't had that experience, so I do not think I'm a twin flame, but I have known a couple of people throughout my life who had that kind of like sizzle hot, incredible, super short relationship. And afterward, my friends in these 2 cases, it was like they had a personality transplant. They completely became other people. And now I'm kind of wondering about that.
Well, the telltale sign is really that you'll never be able to connect on that level really with anybody else. That's the problem with it, because no one else will ever match up with you again. It's like fitting the pieces, and then no one else's, the pieces never fit.
Okay, that's super interesting. So have you used your psychic abilities and your mediumship to assist law enforcement or to solve any kinds of just kind of conventional mystery, something just very earthly?
I have. Usually it's the people that come to me that are working with law enforcement. The family will come to me. So I've done, I've given information on a murder case and a couple of kidnapping cases as well. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting too. And I can't imagine, what it must be like for a family member, who's desperate and the police are only getting so far. So I completely understand why they would want that reassurance, and at the very least to have a message from maybe a person who's passed.
Yeah, it's interesting. There are psychics and mediums that's all they specifically work on. The universe has kind of tried to give me a taste of everything. Missing person cases are difficult because, again, if the person died and has not gone into the light, then they have the same vibration as a human being. So it's tough to tell if they've passed or they're still alive unless they want you to know. If they've gone into the light, you can tell immediately because the vibration is so much higher. But they can be challenging.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I just keep thinking about that Akashic Records room. So I want to hear more about this and maybe how we could access it, because I know I would like to know more about what my past lives are. I do have some fragmented memories that I've received through meditation about one particular past life that I'm absolutely certain that I lived through. Wasn't a famous person. I wasn't Cleopatra. Everybody out there, I was I was a pretty lowly specimen, but I do have these like very fragmented memories. So how can I explore this in a more deep way?
So it's interesting. I died at 27, and when I did, I was given a full life review. And that was like sitting in the front row of an IMAX theater and watching the movie play out. So when I went to the Akashic record room, when I got there, I'm asking this Palladian, I'm like, where am I? And he's like, oh, you're in the Hall of Knowledge. And I'm like, well, I'm all about knowledge. Tell me more. So he took me over to what looked like a deep circular well, basically. And you could just see rows and rows going round and round of books all the way down, all the way up. And he floated a book over to me and told me it was my book of life. And he escorted me to a side room. I sat at the table, opened the book, and it projected just like a 3D movie, just like when I had my life review. And I was able to look at, I wasn't looking at anything particular. I wasn't really paying that much attention. I thought it was just so amazing and so cool. And I came out of the meditation, everybody asked what happened. And then they're like, oh, you were at the Akashic record room. And apparently if you get there, you're supposed to be a reader. The readers apps are actually taken there because it's something they're supposed to be doing. So I, studied and learned how to get back there quickly. And again, I can get back there very, very quickly. And Akashic records I like better than regression, because with a regression, you're out of it and you're talking and they're taking notes and you don't really remember any of it. With Akashic record reading, I'm the one that's reading the book, and you can ask me any questions you want. And you can take the notes and hear everything, and I can describe everything that's happening. It's amazing.
That is amazing. I would completely love to engage in that kind of reading experience and find out more about my past lives and what my role is here on Earth today and where I'm headed. And yeah, it's just really interesting. Oh, so we've got a really good question that just came up from our friend Morphixius. What happens if humans here advance and there are no more huge challenges from which to learn on this planet? On to some other troubled planet for incarnation and karmic lessons?
I don't believe so. And the reason I will say that is because I'm sure that we learn our 5 lessons, some of them while we're here, not all of them. Your soul is continually advancing. I don't know how many levels there are of heaven. I know there's at least 9. And whenever your soul is advancing, it's moving up those levels. There's also ascended masters. Ascended masters were human. They walked this earth. They are teachers on the other side. And I know my sister is actually on that path to be an ascended master. I used to joke to her, after she died, all my abilities opened up and everything. I would joke with her, because she comes through all the time, that, she should be an ascended master, because she was Hindu in this lifetime. And she ran a soup kitchen on Venice Beach in California for years. And I asked her fairly recently why she suffered so much when she died. She suffered horrifically. She had stage 4 cancer. She had no health insurance. She had no pain medication. And she told me that it is part of her path, that she actually is on that path to be an ascended master, but she would have had to learn and feel everything that every human feels here in order to be able to help everyone.
Okay, that is beautiful. What a beautiful story. And it kind of sounds like someone like Mother Teresa, who helped all the orphans in India and worked in poverty. People like that, who spend their whole lives in service to others, even if they don't seem to have the trappings of success, but they have this inner beauty and light that shines through. And I think that's something that we kind of all aspire to. And what can we do in our everyday lives to help us keep ascending, to keep moving towards all those upper levels that we want to reach at some point?
Well, you can start with learning the 5 lessons that you're here to learn, because your soul has to learn those lessons in order to advance. And you can delay them from lifetime to lifetime. They're not always the easiest lessons for people to learn, quite honestly. And you can block them, but your soul will not advance until you've learned them.
So, what are the 5 lessons that we need to learn?
Whiskey. The first one is self-worth. And self-worth is not value, because that's what other people place on you. Self-worth is the understanding that you are so important, that you are the only one of you in this entire universe. How special is that? Even if you're a twin, you like different things. You have different fingerprints. You're different people. And it is not narcissistic or selfish, as society would like you to believe, to put yourself first. It's where everything else comes from. If you can't take care of yourself first, you're not going to be here to take care of anybody else. It's that simple. And no one has power over you. No one can make you anything. And I can't look at you and say, I want you to fall in love with me. It doesn't work that way. You're responsible for your feelings. And the 2 things you take with you when you go, knowledge and feelings. So if you want to be happy, that's on you. It's not, I'll be happy when something happens or when someone comes in my life. It doesn't work that way. You have to be happy every day with the life that you've been given and appreciate the things that you have. That's what that's all about. Then you have trust and communication. And you have to trust first that there is a higher power. And it doesn't matter what you call it. There's only one. There's thousands and thousands of religions, 17,640, I think, just in the United States, 45,000 different types of Christianity. It's just incredible. And everybody thinks theirs is the right one. Well, they're all right. They're all wrong. There is only one. That's it. And you also have to trust that you made this plan. So if you don't like what's happening in your life, you've got no one to blame but yourself. You're probably being a little stubborn and not listening to your soul. And when you're supposed to do something and you're not doing it, the universe will step in and give you a little push. Suppose you're supposed to move across the country for a new job, and that's where you're going to meet the love of your life and have children and blah, 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 and you're not doing it. Well, maybe you'll lose your job here. Maybe you'll lose your house here. So you have no choice but to go. Everyone can look back and see how everything is taking you from the next thing and the next thing and the next thing to bring you right where you are right now, which is exactly where you're supposed to be. And some of those things were challenging, but when you look back, you're grateful that they happened anyways, because it wouldn't have brought the next thing that happened. Looking forward's a little bit more difficult, and this is where you have to trust your soul and know that you made the plan and that everything is happening. Nothing is happening to you. Everything is always happening for you, for your highest and best. And you have to be able to communicate your wants and your needs to the people in your life, whether it's your employer, your employees, your friends, your mother, your child. You have to be able to communicate. And then sex is nothing more than communication inside the bedroom. If you can't trust and communicate outside the bedroom, you're never going to do it inside the bedroom. Unconditional love. Unconditional love is not, I got to stay in this relationship, even though he beats me every weekend because I'm supposed to be practicing unconditional love. That's not unconditional love. That's being a martyr. And then self-worth is going to kick back in again. Unconditional love is saying, listen, we had a good run. It was good while it lasted, but it's not bringing us joy any longer. We need to go separate ways. It's wanting the best for both of you. And it's meaning it. It's not waiting till the weekend and bad-mouthing them with all your mutual friends. Suppose you had a child that you loved unconditionally and they did something horrific like murdering a neighbor in a fit of rage and they went to prison for the rest of their life. You don't like what your child did, but hopefully you're still going to love your child. And then if you can't learn it yet, the universe will take it one step further. Maybe a drunk driver will take your child. Are you going to destroy your life hating the person that took your child away? Or are you going to understand that your child probably wrote that into his life path, that he wasn't going to be here that long? And there was a major lesson in there for the person that's driving the car and for you for unconditional love. Then you have money and balance. And everything in the universe has to stay in balance. Everything has to be an equal exchange of energy. Money is energy. That's why it's called currency. And it's what we use in this little 3D world of ours to show whether or not your life is in balance. If you're working all the time, You don't, say you're working 80 hours a week. Your whole life's going to be out of balance. You're not going to have time for your friends, your family, your own hobbies. And then if you're just saving your money and hoarding it away, you don't have enough self-worth to spend the fruits of your labor on yourself. So self-worth kicks back in again. And because money is energy, you have to understand the flow. The more that goes out, the more that comes back. It's how it works. You are meant to live in abundance. You just have to know that and believe it. And then the last lesson we all have to learn is patience. We live in a world right now of instant gratification. Everybody wants everything yesterday. And it doesn't work that way. Everything comes to you at the perfect time. How stupid would it be if every little 5-year-old girl that wanted to get married and have babies, the guy shows up at the door to get married and the stork starts delivering? That would be kind of stupid, right? And by the same token, if your biological clock is ticking and you're getting up there in years and you haven't gotten married and you haven't had children yet, well, you didn't write it into your plan that way. It's that simple. And it doesn't mean it's never going to happen. Maybe when you're 50, you're going to marry a widow and raise his children. You don't know. If you knew everything that was going to happen every day, you'd just never get out of bed in the morning. It's that simple.
Yeah, those 5 lessons are so simple and so basic. And it's something I think we all know we have to do all these things. We have to live a life in balance, have a sense of self-worth, all of these things. But I know in my life, all of it's unbalanced at the moment, and I'm really trying to get back into balance. It's hard, even when you're focused on it and working and meditating, it still can be hard for all of us to get through all of these lessons. It takes a lifetime. And so I'm wondering, you're describing, situations where different family members may have had an agreement to help you in this lifetime. Do you feel that some of us travel together through lifetimes?
So we travel our entire lifetime with our soul group. Every archangel has a soul group, and you travel from lifetime to lifetime with them. But it doesn't take you a whole lifetime. It shouldn't take you a lifetime to learn these lessons. I created the Relationship Mastery Program about 5 years ago. It's a 7-week program. That's it. And this book, believe it or not, was a result of the program. I did it backwards because I realized that hundreds of people that have gone through my program, every single one of them had to learn these 5 lessons. And they learned them in 7 weeks. So it is absolutely possible. And their lives changed around 180 degrees. And yes, balancing your energy was the toughest lesson of all. Some of them had to start the program over again, because if you don't do it in order, if you don't do it in a timely manner, it was divinely created. You don't shift. You have to shift, balance, reshift.
So how can people learn this program? How can people get involved and take this program and learn these lessons in just a few weeks? Because I'm first in line.
So there's a free webinar that's on my website, juneedwood.com, and you can sign up for the free webinar, and it teaches you a little bit more about how energy works. And if that resonates with you and you want more information about the Relationship Mastery Program, you can fill out the form and you can sign up for a free conversation with me to see if you're a good fit for the program. Because honestly, everybody isn't, and I have turned people down. Yeah. People that do things to lower the vibration, if you're drinking, if you're smoking pot, if you're on drugs, those things lower your vibration. You're not going to shift. You're not going to balance. It's that simple. I'd be wasting my time. So would you.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I think that, having a sense of pure living, eating good foods, healthy foods, getting exercise every day. These are all things we all know we need to be doing, but it does help, I know, with meditation, raising our vibrations, all of these things. And again, it's something that's hard for a lot of humans to engage in.
Well, it doesn't mean you can never do those things again. It's just you cannot do it while you're doing the program. So if you're an alcoholic, or you're smoking pot daily, or you're, on other psychotropic drugs, it just doesn't work. It's that simple.
Yeah. So Liv is bringing up, it sounds like the most important relationship is with yourself, and learn to go with the flow of love energy. What would you say to that?
Well, unconditional love and self-worth. Self-worth has got to be the most important lesson, because if you don't have the self-worth, nothing else comes from there. Like I said, if you can't take care of yourself, you're just not going to be here for anybody else. And unconditional love starts with you. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. Love you. Love you. If there's something you don't like about you, change it. You have that option.
I love that. You have that option. Okay. Hear that, everybody. I'm taking this to heart myself. And I know a lot of you were thinking, yeah, she needs it, but I'm really taking it to heart. So thank you. That is really good advice. And so, June, what are you going to be working on next? Or are you kind of taking a rest now and just keeping steady with working in this area? Or do you see some new things on the horizon?
Well, I'm working on doing a lot of public speaking and a lot of corporate speaking. And I'm also doing a retreat in March of 2025. All of my students, my previous students, have been hammering me to get a retreat going. So I'm going to be opening that up to the public with workshops. I'll be doing some mediumship workshops and some relationship workshops, things like that. It'll be a lot of fun. So you can go find that on my website. Information will be up in about a month. Not a month, I'm sorry, a couple of weeks. I'll have all the information up on that. We're working on it very diligently now. But
That's awesome. It sounds super exciting. That sounds like an absolutely wonderful, wonderful retreat. So, kind of to wrap everything up, what kind of advice would you give all of us here today? Like something we can do today, maybe even one simple thing.
Sure. Let's try getting out of the drama a little bit, okay? And stop triggering people. And we don't understand how to do that sometimes. So let's say instead of asking people questions all the time, we try to turn them into statements. If your husband or your wife has had a difficult day and you come home from work and the first thing out of your mouth is, how was your day? It's a question. They're going to go off on you. What do you care? I've been in his house all day taking care of kids, blah, blah, blah. Instead, turn it around. Say, hey, I hope you had a nice day today. Mine was okay. And they're going to think for a second. He's not asking me. He's hoping did I have a nice day? It just changes the entire dynamic of the conversation. And you can do that with anybody. You can do that with your children. Instead of asking them, how was your day at school today? What do you care? School sucks, blah. Instead say, I hope you had a really good day at school today. My day at work was pretty good. Then they're going to think about it for a second. Oh, she's hoping I had a good day at school. Did I? It changes everything.
Oh my gosh, I absolutely, absolutely love that. I've got 5 children. They're all grown way out of the house a long time ago. And I sure wish I knew that when I was a young mom.
Yeah, it seems like kids get triggered faster than anything. They're very defensive all the time. So by changing it from questions to statements with a lot of people, it helps.
Yeah. Well, I want to make sure everybody reads your book, All's Fair in Love and Karma. I'm going to be leaving an amazing 5-star review on Amazon for this book because it is really that great. I've read the whole thing cover to cover and I'm going to read it again. And I bet that the second time won't be the last time either. So where else can people find you and your work, June?
The fastest and easiest way, I'm everywhere, but the fastest way to put everything together is just go to the website, juneedward.com. It's very simple, very easy. All my social media connections are there. There are videos from my students, from a lot of different things that you can go. I have a YouTube channel as a connection for there. There's connections for everything. And all of my books, there are links to all of my books on there. I have 4 books at this point. And you can schedule an appointment with me if you'd like as well. I have a whole list of services.
And we have all your information in the show notes so people can check it out there. And I just want to say thank you so much for talking with us and really teaching us. I have learned a lot today, and I know that everyone else has too. So thank you so much, June.
Thank you so much for having me. There's nothing I love more than trying to help everybody.
Oh, you're really good at it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. And June, you hold on a second because I'm going to tell you some stuff after we hang up. But I'm going to put on the closing thing, guys, and I will see you whenever our next one is. Okay, love you all.
Okay, now you can come over. I hope you didn't touch that leg. Mama's going to look in a minute. Okay, you didn't touch your leg, right?